A couple weeks ago, I began communicating with a woman, 30-year-old woman, who was in a coma due to a brain aneurysm. I didn't know her in the physical world, but she came through somebody who did know her, who I know, which was brilliant, right? But I was in, when it happened, initially, all that I needed to hear was her name, and she dropped in. Lots to tell about that. But that's how it works many times. So I began listening to her, and she began sharing a lot of things, which, private things. But I was a little confused because I was like, okay, well, has she already left her, body? She was on life support and everything, because she was in her higher self a lot, and she was hanging out with spirit and hanging out with all these female ancestors, and God, and she was in this life review. So I was like, gosh, and I don't know the family or anything, so what do I do about this, right? So, and this is nonverbal communications. And I say, I guess she contacted me via mediumship is the best way to explain it, because she did it through her higher self. And so to bring me in for all these reasons, and I'm going to write more about it, but I wanted to share a couple really cool, vital things, I feel like. So she invited me, or asked me to physically come be next to her in the hospital. So of course, like, how am I going to do that, right? So I explained to her family, hey, you don't know me, and your daughter is asking me to come to the hospital. But I found the courage. I reached out to somebody who knew them, and I was invited to come. So, which was really cool. And when I got there, she was explaining, I was asking her, because I could see who she was. I could see her soul. I could see how powerful she was. I could see all these amazing, incredible things. And I was then watching her, eavesdropping, I say, or privy to, getting to see her life review. She was reviewing her life with God, her guides, her ancestors. And they were, sort of like not pros and cons, but like, if you stay here with us, because she really was wanting to stay because it is so beautiful and simple, and the truth is so pure, and the truth of us, who we are, is so pure, and the truth, the reality of everything is not here in the physical. Is the best way to say it. I don't want to launch off as I usually do, but so in her life review, they were just, she was looking at, well, what did she say she would do when she got here, as in her humanity? What was she going to do on behalf of her soul? And she was weighing those things against what could she still do from the other side, which is a huge message right now. Also part of why I co-wrote the book I did with Spirit, The Power of Spirit, is that there's a lot of powerful things that Spirit is intending to do to help support us. So that's a whole nother thing. But she had all these powerful purposes, and she couldn't find her way to them here. And she felt like she wasn't going to be able to do that for many, many reasons, which, I'm going to write a lot more about it, but because she said it's okay to do. And I honor Spirit above all else. I don't share what I haven't been given permission by Spirit to share. So, and that's really important, because that should be paramount for everyone who does, God's work and works on behalf of Spirit. So, but it's important thing is, when she was airing her grievances from the human mind, while I was sitting there with her, as you know, my practice is called etheric medicine. So it was sort of fun, because she was like teaching a little bit, but also like having fun with me with this medicine. And when she would air a grievance, her whole etheric body would change. It vibrated differently. And so, this is a truth. This isn't just sort of like the woo-woo science of, it's like, it's real, like not being, being human and having grievances and pain and trauma, it vibrates in the body. And when she would go to her higher self, it was transformative. And so her brain also showed us and invited us to watch that. It showed its original, and I know this is really cool in a lot of the work that I do, communing with the body. The body can show us the path, the thought process of disease, like whole thing. Blah, blah. So I just fascinated. I love this. There's so much to share, but her brain showed us both. So she was hovering over herself in her soul, her soul or spirit body or etheric body. And she was watching with me. We were watching in her physical body the initial injury of the aneurysm, and then the thought process and the spreading of it in the brain, and watched it do that. And then I watched her start healing her own brain from outside of herself, which is a whole thing. So cool. So much to say about that. So this went on, I communicated with her family the things she wanted me to say. I made phone calls to friends, people I didn't even know, didn't know me, to give messages. Like, it was really such an absolute honor and just so cool. And so I got to know her as a human, as a soul, in that my time with her, as I still am getting to know her now. She's a total badass. And so she was on life support. And so on the final day, I was clear. I went twice, I think, or maybe 3 times, twice in one day, and then a third day. And I was clear that I was done. She said, you can go, you don't have to come physically back. So I went home. There was no talk at the time, or no, actually, it was thought that they were going to take her off of life support the last day that I was there. And then, things changed or whatever. But I was at home, and I remember I was hanging a light, and I didn't need to have any more communication with anyone in the physical world about it, because I was in communication with her. And I knew that she was in this deciding process, and which she got to. Like, it was so empowering for her, because she actually got to exercise choice at this really high level, having all the information, having all the higher self information, weighing it out with the human mind, and like, what would it be like to come back, and all these things. And so I was hanging a light. And this is a really important piece. I was hanging a light and all this, and she was hanging out with me and stuff. And all of a sudden, I felt this wave of what I can only describe as like pure compassion. And that I knew in that moment she had decided to leave, to leave her body, and it didn't mean necessarily that they had taken her off of life support or anything, because your body can stay there on life support. But I knew that for her, which is all that mattered, because that's who I was being in service to, is that she had decided to leave because all the grievances were gone, and the compassion morphed into freedom. And this vibration, this resonance of compassion is godlike. It's because we are that. We are light. And to be in that, the point is for us, because we can still do that in physical form, if we really understand that it's like so transformative to us, our resonance, so our health, our healing, our life, our ability to manifest, like all the things, is like that true compassion now is like, wow, that's the thing that freed her. It was freedom, and I watched her like flying around in the stars in pure joy, and I was like, yeah, girl, good for you. You made this decision for yourself. How empowering. But the greatest thing is, like, we in our human selves, if we can truly it's not just the word or a hashtag compassion, and that's not a judgment. It's like really compassion for ourselves first and foremost has to happen. Or how can we give it? If we don't understand how the resonance of it feels in our own being and our own heart, if we don't recognize, see, we have to start recognizing resonance, like recognizing our soul resonance, ourself, recognizing the resonance of God, of spirit. If we don't start truly, and that's an inward thing, the resonance of things is so subtle, but so powerful. The resonance of compassion literally transformed and is the resonance of our soul. So if we want to know ourselves, we have to start turning compassion towards ourselves to transform anything out here. So really, that's what I wanted to share the most is like, if all of us start focusing on the resonance of compassion within ourselves, and then just intend for that resonance to flow outward. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to do all the other things. We just need to do it. Start harnessing that and just intending for it to go outward, because that is the resonance of the soul of God, the God energy, the light energy that is us. And I think we can start shifting everything, the earth, the trees, the animals, us, humanity, all the things that are happening right now. That inward focus on the resonance of things that are transformative.